I want you guys to take a moment or so to think about what's important in your life. Is that how it goes? Alright, if you guys need more time, you might need to pause the video because I gotta get back to work. My break's only so long. There was this one time in the summer of 2010. Man, was that 10 years ago?
Oh man, my mortality's setting in!
In the summer of 2010, I went colporteuring. And what colporteuring is, you go door to door selling Christian books. Although technically it wasn't selling the books, it was on a donation basis. It's because it helped me go to school. So each book was about $10, but if someone only had $8, we could let it slide because it was on a donation basis. And we believed that God would make up the difference in the end, which he did. So there was one day I was colporteuring in a mobile home park. I remember getting a couple books out in there, but there was this one experience in particular that has stuck in my brain for all these 10 years. So I knock on the door and a woman opens up the door, and inside, let's just say that I don't know how anybody could have lived there. It didn't look like a home at all, or you can tell that they didn't really have a lot of money. But I saw that she had kids, so the first book that I showed to the kids was a kid's book that talked about Jesus. So while they were flipping through the pages, I showed this one book that was called Peace Above the Storm. The real title of the book is Steps to Christ, but it had a different cover and a different name on it. This book was different because it also had pictures of nature in it, and it also had Bible promises in it, I think like at the end of every chapter or something like that. So the kids really wanted the book that they were looking at, and their mom really wanted the book that she was looking at. So the mom told her kids to go get her purse so she can get money for the books. On a donation basis, technically it should have been $20 for both books together, but she only had $8. Some of that was in change. It wasn't even all in dollar bills. You can tell that it might have been all that she had. So she didn't ask me if that would be enough to cover for both the books. With that amount of money, I wasn't supposed to give her both the books, but I did have a plan. I said she can have the children's book for $8, and then we had this like little booklet which was the exact same book, but it was just smaller and it didn't have the nice cover, the nice Bible promises, the nice nature pictures in it. So I told her I can give her that book instead of for a couple dollars for that book, I think it was, since it was the same book anyways. But I can tell she was really disappointed on it, but she did take the book. I took the money, gave her the children's book for her kids. I had just finished a sale a couple doors down. I'm walking off to the next home when I hear this little voice say, "Excuse me, sir." So then I turn around, and out on the distance, I see the little girl from the home who bought the children's book. And I can see that she's cupping something, but I didn't know what she had. She gets closer, and she says, "My mom found more money for that book that she wanted." And it's literally just pennies. And I don't remember there being any dimes or any nickels. If there was a few, but it was pretty much all pennies. And that's when I realized that this woman was literally giving everything she had for that book. And I'm even ashamed to say this next part, but I actually tried to convince the little girl that her mom already had the book. It was the exact same book. So in a little voice, she just said, "Okay." She turned around and walked away. I turned around and walked away, and I had the worst emotional feeling I've ever had in my life. It almost felt as if someone or something was taking my insides and just tying them into a whole bunch of knots, and every step I took, it got worse and worse. So eventually I just turned around and said, "Hey kid, come back here." She came back. I took the change and I gave her the book, and she was so happy. She went running back with the book to give it to her mom. That woman literally gave everything she had for that book. I don't know what it was about, but there was something she wanted, and looking back on it, I believe there was something she must have needed from that book. She was craving whatever was in there. Think back to those things that you thought were important in your life at the beginning of this video. Was God anywhere on that? Or Jesus? Or church? I mean, while this woman was giving every penny that she found for that book, what are we spending our money on? What do we treasure? In here, we could spend $5 a month on Hulu, $70 a year on Disney Plus, $7 to $8 a month on Netflix,
$15 if you want 4K.
or what's the latest movie to come out. And for so many years, that stuff was important to me, and God was very low on that list. I've wasted so many years finding that stuff important. Most of the important things are found in heaven, not on earth. It makes me think of a verse where Jesus said, "Don't store up for yourselves treasures here on earth. Things can be stolen, things can be destroyed, but put your treasure up in heaven, because who can take that away from you? No one's going to steal it. Nothing's going to get destroyed if your treasures are up in heaven. And wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is going to be also." My heart was set on all these TV shows and movies, which, to be honest, it's filled with a lot of things that go against Christian principles. I mean, do they try to get close to God? Are they trying to uplift God? But all these shows are filled with revenge, violence, language that we shouldn't be saying, and should we really be hearing it for our own entertainment? Is that what we want to pass the time? What if we spent less time on movies and TV shows and music, which maybe we shouldn't even be putting in our minds, and filled it with reading the Bible instead? What if we listened to Christian music instead? Because when Jesus says to place our treasures up in heaven, because that's where our hearts are going to be, if our treasures are placed in heaven, then that means our heart is in heaven, which means God has our heart. And that's all that he really wants in the end. So I challenge you to make a difference today. Make that choice today. Have that purpose in your heart that you want to spend more time with God and have him more important in your life. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment if you like, and remember to choose Christ every single day, because in the end, that's what Christianity is really all about. See ya.